Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. Today is Takeoff Tuesday. We get to learn from Bill Predebon. As of right now, we have 83 participants on the line. Make sure that you reach out to your team. We don't want any ICMs left behind. Bill Predebon is an amazing individual. He's a good friend of mine. We both work together here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Bill has taken Renatus and really made the most out of it, and we're very fortunate to get to learn from someone like Bill. Bill has been in Renatus for going on about 10 years now, so he has a lot of experience to share with us. Before Renatus, Bill was a pro skier in Vail, Colorado, and he realized he was not qualified to do much else. And then he got into franchising and he owned a couple of stores. Due to lack of knowledge, that ended up costing him the business and he lost everything. In 2007, he heard about real estate investing, didn't have education, and so he self-educated and attempted to do real estate investing on his own. He ended up upside down again and he lost everything during the 2008 crash and was in over $400,000 of debt. He then found Renatus, and in his first year with Renatus alone, he made 8 times more than he did the previous year as a loan officer. And ever since then, Bill has completed over 130 deals. I know it's closer to 150 now. I need to update that. And he's grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate. He's a marketing leader with Renatus and a PIT team member, meaning he's in training to be on the PAC, which is the President's Advisory Council. And again, we're very fortunate to get to learn from Bill this morning. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Keely. What is the good word?
Nationals.
Can you hear me okay? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thanks again for taking your time to kick this baby off and get us started and make this available to all of us, and just really lining us up and getting the announcements out there. They're critical all the time. Things are changing all the time, and it's just a great place to start your day, I think, every 4 days a week, and people, I think, are really getting to know you and appreciate your work. And so thank you for all that you do for us here on this platform. It's fantastic.
You're welcome, Bill. Hey, I sorry to interrupt. I have one more announcement I wanted to make, just so everyone knows your cameras are on, and that's a great thing. We want to practice having our cameras on, but just know that your camera's on. And then also, please update your names to your first and last name if it's not already. We want to practice that for going forward with our online meetings. It's important to have your first and last name. So please make sure that you get that updated.
Right on. Good point. Yeah, Michael did a fantastic training yesterday on format and meeting etiquette when it came to Zoom. Everybody's learning. Everybody is new to it. So the better experience you can make it as we move into the guest-oriented events, the better it'll be for everybody. Because good morning, Wanda. Hey, girl. Yeah, please hover over your name and rename and comply. Yeah, that works. Yeah, check your video. Obviously, with the guest events, Thursday nights, follow-ups, things like that, you definitely want to be on video. Maybe dress the part a little bit with a nice shirt. And whatever you have. Hey, Keith. So today is going to be awesome. If you can catch that video, by the way, from Michael yesterday, it's on the YouTube channel, like Keely said, and she records them and puts them out there. Then all the better for you to review that, or if you didn't catch it yesterday, catch on to it. But I'm not gonna. So I was thinking about it today. Obviously, any questions on that stuff, you guys? It's phenomenal. I've spent far more hours on Zoom than I ever wanted to or expected I would. And I'm not very tech savvy, but I've had to be pretty technical, and it's been interesting to say the least. I was actually just talking to my dad, and he runs the mechanical engineering and engineering mechanics department at Michigan Tech University. He's been the chair of that department for 20 years, and they have taken everything online. It's new to his faculty, it's new to his staff, it's new to his students. It's not just as simple as an online class, but it's all their meetings, all their labs and everything. So he's been going through the same thing. So he and I were chatting today, and there's a lot of extra hours put into it. But for you guys on your part, you could just spend a little bit of time on Zoom, so you can log in early and just test it out. So you have a few settings that you can adjust, so it'll make a better experience for you and your guests. But other than that, let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. The chat's up. Feel free to come off mute. Here's my thought is, we've kind of entered a new, it's gonna, whatever. My positive outlook is it's gonna get back to whatever it was. There'll always be changes. We'll never be the same, all those great things. But nonetheless, there's some adaptation, some adjustments we've got to make with people in the market. Students that are looking into Renatus, your ability to market Renatus and talk to people and connect with people. So, I'm fortunate, I've had some success the last couple of months with working with some of my warm market and my students and my students getting people enrolled. I haven't, honestly, my mindset hasn't been that anything's different. It's just a different platform. But, I've got some insight in my opinions of what's going on in the market, and I'll share some of that with you. But, if my thought was today that if, as far as we've got all these platforms, you guys are doing your best to be a part of it. The next step is to make use of it, right? Literally we need to get people in front of the information, and then we need to follow up with them, and we still need to ask for the sale, and we still need to follow up and ask for the sale and book a meeting from a meeting and follow the 4 money-making activities. And if we're not, all we are doing is spending a lot of time on Zoom, and that's cool, but it's not going to make you the money you want. So if you, top of the day, Bobby Johnson, good to see you, brother. Happy Tuesday, Sheena. If you guys have a question, or more importantly, if you have a scenario that you're stuck with, or you're working on, or you're struggling with, bring it out and come off mute or whatever. Because literally, I can share with you any objections that I might be able to have, not objections, any insights or experiences I might have had so far. I've definitely had people be concerned with the market and wanting to wait it out. I've had people even ready more now than ever. I still have people getting funded. That hasn't seemed to slow down. So I want to share that. Yes. How to start your short-term rental in such a market. Jonathan, I wouldn't, honestly. Right now, Airbnb is asking me to volunteer and give up time. Literally, they have discounted rates, or just give away the space for the needy. Like the emergency services and stuff. So I've offered up some time frame on that, but there's nobody booking anything that I know of. So I would get long-term rental property that could be made into short-term rental property in the future. I hope that Renata students that bought short-term rentals did it with a multiple exit strategy, meaning that their monthly rents could actually cover their mortgages and expenses and still make them money. If people bought property based on arbitrage, or based on a 2 to 5 times rental increase based on short-term rental, which is typically, I probably make 3 times the amount I did on a short-term as I did on a long-term rental. But if your mortgage is dependent upon that, you're not getting it right now. So I don't know what your markets are like in Arizona. If people had a short-term rental for a longer period of time and they already had it for a year, then this is just a couple of months early for the summer months that go down to nothing out here. So they can sustain, they've set aside reserves and they can get through this time when it's down, and then we'll move right into the summer where we don't get much rents anyway, and then we'll move into the fall and things will be back to normal. But if you're starting out a short-term rental, I don't know. I don't know enough about the market, but I can't. There's 15 people on an airplane. Nobody's traveling anywhere. There's restrictions and lockdowns all over the place. I think there are some needs. I did have a couple people that were interested in my short-term rental, in both California and Arizona, but then they needed it right away. And by the time I got back to them, got them information on it, they had already picked. So they were looking at a month long or whatever, because they were coming from Mexico or they were locked down in California and couldn't get out. So those were a couple of scenarios that I didn't even get. They didn't even book my place. Other than that, I've had no demand. I've had half a dozen, 7 cancellations, lost over $7,500 roughly. And that's in those 7 cancellations. So anyway, that's my thought on that. All right.
Bill, I've been talking with Danny, my CPA, about the stimulus package. I'll approach her and see about with rental loss, because if this is a business, that you might be able to apply for the stimulus package.
Yeah, I would imagine that's a possibility. I agree. I have not looked into it yet. I haven't looked into. I've dipped into the rentals a little bit. What mortgage relief is going to come out? How you handle people not paying rent? I have put up a chart with all my rentals and what to expect. And I've got a budget for any people that are not going to pay rent. I've had a couple people call me asking me what my thoughts were on it and wanting to discuss it with me. And so I haven't drawn attention to any of my rentals, but yeah, it's possible. I would think, yeah, check with your CPA. If she's looking up the law, let me know, what kind of stimulus they're going to give to any owners. I don't know what the avenue is going to be to claim it. I know people that have lost jobs and stuff like that. Supposedly they're going to deposit it right into their account. I don't know.
Right. Well, even realtors, since we're contractors, we're going to be able to apply for those benefits.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, that's a good thought. So I guess that kind of moves us into this training and these thought processes, guys. So good question. If you have concerns, the idea here is that you build your team. You get 5-star qualified, you make some extra money. Maybe some of you and calculate it and see what it does for you on your bills and put a goal on that. I know you have goals, but in the past and stuff like that, but I will open with this is I've been fortunate. I watch the news a little bit and with what we've been able to do with real estate and honestly with the Renatus marketing and building my team and my team working hard to continue to build their teams. Financially, I'm grateful. Scenarios where it could be very difficult for us as well, but those aren't happening right now. But I just can't imagine what it's like to be concerned with losing a job, not having the income you normally have, things like that, especially when you're stable, and you've been stable for a while. Like, when I lost everything in 06 and 07 and 08, 06, I was single when I filed bankruptcy. I wasn't concerned at 38 with no children about my credit. I wasn't concerned with being broke. I mean, I have a good family. I could always rely on my family if I needed to. I've got good friends. And, my biggest concern was what I did to what became my wife, because, she's a little more conservative than I was. But, if I had to tell you, I don't care what your age is, I don't recommend it. I don't, if you can avoid bankruptcy, if you can avoid getting into hardship, now's the time to do it. And we have the opportunity. I'm going to get into that. Deborah says, what do you suggest for those who are starting out with Renatus and really need to make some cash? So here's what I suggest. Number one is, and it's very human nature, and I don't blame you, Deborah, but need is a needy word. Need is I call it a bad word. I like to swear a lot, but that word, that word, I don't know what the replacement is. Desire, maybe. Look forward to something like that, but that need is difficult because it consumes us when we need something. It means we're deficient in that, and that mindset that gets put out in the universe, and it typically comes. You typically stay there, in my opinion. I'm not a big secret guy or anything like that, but Michael trains on this a lot, and I believe in it. I think that we can rename it. So, but to answer your honest and serious question in regards to that, number one is, folks, Renatus is a curve, and Renatus has a lot of room for opportunity and a lot of room for growth. However, it is not get rich quick, and there's very few and far between that come out of the gate, get 5-star qualified, and start making $10,000 in their first 2 months. So it is imperative, in my opinion, that you have two options. You set yourself up in a business. So if you imagine, so here's the thing. This is important. Number one is, and I'm going to get to this, Pete. Number one is, you guys, Renatus is a business. What do most Americans across the country, or Americans or whatever, business owners, when they start a business, they have a job or a career and they save, and then they go out on their own and they risk it all, and they take their money that they saved and they put it into their business. They sign a lease, they buy equipment, they buy material, they buy inventory. Then when it doesn't work, what happens is when they're short, they borrow money. They borrow money from the government, like an SBA loan, Small Business Association. They borrow money from a bank because they have good credit. They inject income, or you would say seed capital, into their business. And you guys get the point. Wherever the money comes from. And typically they borrow the least amount of money because you want the least amount of debt, and you want the least amount of overhead, and you want to be able to pay it back, and you want to, it's the opposite. When you look at the wealthy, and people that start apps and start major corporations that we hear about, they inject hundreds of millions of dollars into research and development and everything. They are capitalized. When they're capitalized, they have success. They have the opportunity to succeed. They can endure markets. They can endure longevity, and they're not undercapitalized, and they don't go under. We as Renatus people look at Renatus and go, $197, 20 grand for my education. Okay, I got a business. That's it. And we rely on our mind, and we rely on our work ethic. But we've never done it before. It's brand new to us. And so we go through the struggles, and things don't work, and we're not making any money. So Deborah, number one is, if there's any way for you to do one of two things, either have an income that pays your bills, or almost all of them, and or have some reserves. And so you can sustain. And what that means is that you can go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months without making any money, or making a limited amount of money, so that you can get your business up and running. So you can pour money into personal development, paying for AMP with those guys in Utah and girls, paying for marketing, paying for Zoom accounts, paying for anything that you need to do to get into your marketing and get more leads. All right. Otherwise, you've got to be able to get out and get into networking events and have time on your hands. And if you don't have any of that time because you're working, you got family, you got kids, and you got school, and I mean, I'm not talking about right now, but in general, then you're going to have limited time spent on it. And if you have limited resources, it's not going to make it. So let's get to the positive. What do I suggest for those starting out with Renatus and really need to make some cash? All right. The more that if you have no money and you need to make money, and that goes for anybody in this business, the more you spend time in your education, and I don't mean applying it, I don't mean out flipping houses. I'm just talking about getting prepared for what's coming, right? The more you can develop a mind around that by studying the education, understanding bankruptcy, understanding foreclosure, understanding credit, understanding banking with velocity banking, understanding tax and legal, understanding private money. None of these classes I'm talking about, why is that doing that, have anything to do with flipping a house, buying or selling a house. They have to do with preparation. Anytime that you can get this kind of knowledge, your expertise will come out in conversation. So number one is you spend time every day in your education studying it on purpose with intent and with notes and knowing distractions. Then if you really are new and you really need to make money, you really need to take massive action. You should gather your thoughts and your time. You should look at your schedule. Perhaps understand, I trained on this yesterday, we need to understand our calendar, understand all the events Keely's talking about, understand how to work Zoom, understand how to log into Zoom, understand how videos work, understand what events and when they're coming on and what the purpose of the event is, so you can plug your people in. And then you take massive action. Whatever you think you're doing that's a lot of action, double it. Right? If you're afraid to talk to someone because you don't think it's good for them, you don't think they'll believe you, you don't think that you've done anything, you don't think that whatever negative thoughts or whatever objective thoughts you may have about people you're going to contact in your friends, family, whatever it is, I've done it before, I'm the black sheep, whatever it is that you think, you have to find personal development to overcome that mindset. And then you can go after and talk to anybody. And that massive action, the more numbers, like I have had people the last 2 months tell me, not right now, I'm taking a break. I'm going to wait till this happens. The doom and gloom. Hey, I'm in real estate. I had, 9 deals or 5 deals out of 10 not closed. My other ones never closed. I thought they were. Now I just got to be concerned with my family. Totally makes sense, right? But if that's my only person, then my whole business is based on that guy's one decision or that one guy's decision. But I have dozens of people that I'm talking to every day. Last night when I went to bed, I probably set 15 or 20 text messages that I can look in my phone in the morning and then I can start to send them. I didn't send them at 11:30 or 12 at night, but when I got up at 5:45 this morning, I knew I could start sending out text messages. One of them went out and he already got back to me, right? So, Deborah, massive action, meaning every day you commit to some sort of time. And this is not a full-time business. I mean, I run it like a full-time business, but what I'm saying is you can do real estate education 30 minutes to an hour a day. You can do, you can write down a list of 5 or 10 people you're going to try to contact through text message, and then you can get on with your 5 stars so you can prepare yourself. You can watch one of these classes or these trainings like this. You can do 2 to 4 hours a day and build a business, right? You need to make money, double it. Work 12 hours in a day or 14 hours in a day with your other job, and don't work and don't work an 8-hour day, right? Okay, so that is my opinion. Is the more of the information you can get, and I'll tell you, Deborah, I'm sure you're going to nationals. When you go to nationals and you commit, you guys, and if you're going to nationals, folks, everybody, hey, everybody, Esther, how are you? It's not easy, and I used to be the worst at it. I was always working, always on my phone, always getting up and leaving, not just nationals, but even some long day conferences that I would go to. My suggestion is you don't do that. You absolutely, you absolutely sit down and pay attention to the information. When we take a break, then go do what you need to do, and take the time off and isolate yourself wherever you're going to be to watch it and pay attention to it, and it'll help you. I'm committed to. I love it. Okay, I suggest use priorities. What is my first priority? All right, I like priorities. So, so let me give you an example. And some of you guys have heard this. So for me, in 2008, And I refer to that for several reasons, but there's no one reason in particular. But for my story, for what I know when it comes to priorities, is I needed to make money. Okay. I did not pay any attention to the marketing. My 5-star did not really impress upon me the value of it. And I don't know why. I was so focused on being a real estate investor because that's all I'd heard about. I knew nothing about MLM or direct sales and stuff like that. I was ignorant to it. So I'm glad that you folks are not. So my necessity was make money. I was like Deborah, I needed to make freaking money. And all I knew was that I could flip a house and make money. And I didn't have any money and didn't have any credit. So when I heard about wholesaling, I dove into wholesaling first. The market was moving so negatively. Like the fact that I got my first wholesale deal done at the end of 2007 was absolutely a miracle. I mean, I was fortunate. It was community based is why I got that deal done. It was based on the community, but I was able to do it in six weeks and made $6,000, right? And that $6,000 was gone faster than I could cash the check. It was a $12,000 deal I split with the guy that was door knocking with me. What I found was I was a loan officer and a real estate agent. You guys know this, but I was working full time on those two jobs, and they were 100% commission based, and nothing was closing. And then I got the education, and I started studying short sales because every damn loan I was trying to do was upside down. The appraisals weren't coming in, nothing was working. So I said, well, I'm going to burn all my bridges. I'm going to go 100% into being an investor, because if I'm going to make 100% of anything that I produce and it's 100% based on me, I'd rather make more money than less, right? Because a realtor, I'm going to make 3% on $100,000. And as an investor, I'm going to make $10,000 for every $100,000 I make on a house, right? Roughly. So I was like, let's do that. So I did this out of necessity. My priority became studying and going out and finding a lead and figuring out how to flip the house with no money and no credit. Fortunately, back then, short sales, you could do that. So for you and your folks, when you guys are looking at your priority, it's important that you assess what your resources are. And that's why your coaching call with Gavin is so important. Even if your first 1 or 2 calls, trust me, when you get going in real estate, you won't need a one-on-one personal call with Gavin. You will use your 5 stars, your community, you'll use your education, and you'll use your group call. But save 2 or 3 of your coaching calls. But in the beginning, when you know nothing, talk to Gavin. The guy's a genius. And so you've got to figure out what it is that you have as resources and time, money, credit, relationship capital, knowledge, whatever your resources are, that's going to make you money. All right. In my Renatus business, the reason I suggest that you focus on Renatus is this, and this is part of the training I want. This is a great question. I was talking to Mary yesterday and a few other people on my team. I'm reaching out to everybody on my team again, 50 plus people that I'm trying to contact them all every week or two. And I don't know if it's very efficient, but it's definitely effective in my opinion. It keeps me grounded with my team. When that doubles this year, I'll probably not be able to do that. But here's the deal. Marketing, in my opinion, is number one. The reason marketing is number one, and I missed this boat, is that there's no risk. I promise you that if you are buying property, if you're buying a rental property right now for short-term rental, there is risk. There's risk on where the market's going. There's risk on what the market's going to do. There's risk on who's going to pay rent. I mean, come on. The mentality off the media is everything for nothing, okay? So wait it out. Wait it the frick out, right? And the way you wait that out is you study, you prepare, you get ready, right? If you want to study stock, go study stock, right? If you want to study real estate, go study it. Understand it. Understand foreclosures. Understand what it means to take over a mortgage subject to. But wait. In the meantime, here's what's going to happen. There's zero risk in someone saying no. The upside is a $10,000 sale that generates for you a team member, okay? It also generates you potentially 50% of the people that you enroll are going to go ahead and do the marketing, which is going to generate another $19,000 for you, right? Which is going to leave you 4 more people, okay? So ultimately, and that's just the beginning. You guys know the comp plan. So but more importantly, in real estate, and you've heard me say this, but now more than ever, the people you're talking to are going to have a relationship to real estate. They are going to be, they may have money, and they may understand that if they have money, the opportunity is there. Buy low, sell high. They're like, hey, what's the market doing? Well, if you listen to Chris Wilson, if you get on some of these calls, you can learn about what the market's doing, right? I've talked to O'Keefe, I've talked to Sean Schlegel, I've talked to my gal at my title company, Rhonda. I've talked to some of my local investors, some of the guys that have been around for years. I've talked to Chris Wilson. So I'm gathering opinions of what the market's going to do, right? And so you are going to be, with your knowledge and your education, you're going to be an expert. And people are going to be, people that have money want to know from an expert what the market's going to look like. Hey, I've got some money to invest. So they could become that investor. Most likely they're like, oh yeah, my neighbor put their house up for sale. They're thinking about just dumping their house or whatever it is. I just enrolled a student. He's an awesome dude. I've known him for a long time, him and his wife. And, he's on his job and he already found a lead. He hadn't even, he's studying essentials right now. He just got started in the combo, and he's already got this lead. So, whether or not anything comes of it, but we spent 30 minutes, 40 minutes on the phone with a direct to seller, not on the market. The guy wants to sell. He's had some realtors talk to him and all that. So he's in the preliminary stages, but boom, there's somebody who knows somebody who has a house because I invited him into the marketing. All right. Your real estate business will grow when you market. So when it comes time for the market, like if it's doing its cycle, and we cycle down in the West out here, about 3.5 years on a downturn. If you're still buying in year one, you might buy upside down, because by the time the market starts to plateau and it hits towards the bottom of the market, I'm not saying we're falling into a market yet. It's too early, but you don't know that. So you might buy a house today that's $400,000. It's going to take you 6 months to fix it, and you're going to sell it for $650,000. But if it takes you 6-8 months to get it on the market and sell it, what's it going to be worth? Is it going to be worth 500 and you're going to be out 100 grand? I mean, you never know, right? And you hopefully you buy it well enough. But my point is, when you are building your team, you're building resources, you're building relationship capital by adding people to the Renatus education. Your resources for deals are going to be coming your way. All right, you've heard me say that before. So my priority, in my opinion, would be study, and ultimately spend as much time talking to people about Renatus as you would any other secondary activity. So obviously your work has to be number one. If that's the case, you're working from home. If you lost your job, then you've got to secure some kind of income, or you've got to figure out how to get compensated for your job loss, things like that. You've got to, it's very difficult to be stressed out all the time over finances and try to talk someone into spending $20,000. It's not impossible. In fact, you overcome that mindset. You spend time on mindset. You ask Zach and Sumari Ullman, they're training their team consistently on mindset. You will prevail like no other forever. Then with that priority, it is simply understanding, in my opinion, setting yourself up for what is to come. Whether the market goes up again, whether the market goes down or stays still, there's going to be opportunity. There are going to be people that are not going to come out of this because they're going to have the masses mindset, and there's going to be opportunity to buy houses. And you want to set yourself up, whether you have money or credit or not, to either be improving your credit, but building relationship capital by talking to people about real estate and finding people that are interested in learning to invest or investing their money in real estate, either with you or together with you through Renatus. So the opportunity is there. All right, Anthony put in there that the SBA relief, that's cool. So I don't know if that answered your question, Pete. I'm going to say your first priority is your education, because your education will give you the knowledge to do the marketing. And I would also say that if you haven't watched Bob Snyder's 10-step training, to watch that. And I think that any of these, so I was talking to someone the other day, and they're interested in the business, and They just want to get started in the business. There's a certain belief and a certain mindset and and I know you know this, but there's a certain feeling about Renatus, like I don't have, over the last 4 years in marketing Renatus, it's grown. It's not even the same from 2016 and 17 as it has been in 18 and 19. My vision for Renatus, the amount of money I want to make with Renatus, how many people on my team I want on the pit and the pack in the near future, not just what I want, but what they want. The things that it's become an evolution of the vision of Renatus and more being in line of what Bob wants, right? And so what I'm getting at is there is a certain degree that where just marketing the opportunity because there's an opportunity to make 10 grand is really good. It's a good starting point. But spending some time in the world of listening to these calls like you're doing and understanding the true vision and what's possible, like if you think about it, I truly believe that Renatus has the ability to help you keep more of the money you make, right? And then it has the ability for you to develop relationship capital. I don't know that many people, but I would suggest that and how they got rich. But my belief is that when you think about wealthy people, and I'm talking wealthy, I'm talking like, tens of millions of dollars, whatever it is, even people that have had 50 properties, commercial buildings, their parents have had apartments. You just don't go out and buy an apartment complex because you saved up your whole life. There's a few, I'm sure, but here's the thing. They leverage relationship capital. They borrow other people's money, whether it's the bank, private money, whatever, and then they have the knowledge to put it to work, and then they double it, and then they triple it. What that means is they take money out and they go buy another one. They use the asset to buy another asset, and they keep taking that risk. So most of the time, like when you start buying houses, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of resources, you don't have everything you have is put in there, so you're not gaining anything from it right away, especially in long-term hold. But pretty soon, over a short period of time, as things go up in value and mortgages go down in payments, and then you're able to leverage the asset at a lower interest rate or interest-only a line of credit, and you're able to buy more assets. You have 3 or 4 jobs that you're not even working at that are making you money, right? When you have income of $10,000 a month from the Renatus education, you're building your relationship capital with the people you're enrolling and building on your team, but then you're making an extra $10,000 a month. When you have an extra 10 grand a month and you have a job or you have a business that's flipping houses, then you don't need the extra 10 grand. So then the extra 10 grand goes into your account and you're able to offset downtimes. If people don't pay rent, I can pay rent. If I look sexy to the bank, so I can borrow more money. I can lend out money at high interest rates when people need a bridge loan for 10 grand for 30 days. I can do these types of things because I have a system that's in place where I have a regular business. I have a no risk business of Renatus. I'm studying my education. I'm buying assets. Then I'm buying more and more and more assets. These assets are stretching me very thin. God, I wish they were all paid off. I get it. Let's not buy assets for a little while and try to pay these assets down. I get that, but that's a standstill, right? But when you start to, eventually, my point is when you gain this priority by studying, understanding the vision of some of your leaders that have been around Bob for 10 or 20, 15 years, that have been in and out, the PAC members, the home team, Bob himself, spend some time understanding that it's more than just a $10,000 sale. And I believe that you will experience a faster growth and you will make more money faster. All right, that's a good point. Okay, I hope that helped out with priority. Where do you start when you don't have a plan? How do I make one? All right, Sandra. So I have to tell you guys and girls, I'm a terrible planner. I suck at it. You guys know that I've spent probably $20,000 in the first couple years, 4 years of my business here when I had no money to speak of. And I was putting out money for this personal development. And there was this one exercise where we got up on if Richard Saling's on the line, he'll know what I'm talking about. But we would go to this 3-day event, and it was it was similar to a Tony Robbins. It wasn't walking on fire and all that crap. We did break arrows and stuff with our neck, but we did some pretty outlandish stuff. But it was mainly word and mindset, personal development. And I remember being up on stage, and I'm a doer, right? So I'm like my personality was just go do it. Worry about the consequences later. And then there's a planner, right? And a planner plans, but they plan so much they don't do as much, right? And that there's nothing wrong with being any one of these things. I'm not saying that, but there's got to be a little bit of balance. You've got to do one more than the other of these 4 types of personalities. Gathering information, then planning and things like that, and then doing. And then there's that little bit of wizard in you. He calls it a wizard. And the wizard is like the magic where you've made a plan and then you're out doing, right? You're knocking doors, but then all of a sudden you've got to need a little wizardry to put the whole deal together, right? Or, you've planned on, you've got the whiteboard, right? You've gathered information. So you'd studied a course like this, you've gone on a training, and then you're out doing, which means you're making phone calls, sending text messages, you're looking up your contacts. And that happens on a daily basis. You plan a little bit, you do more than you plan. You gather more information, you do more. Gather more information, adjust your plan, do more, right? But then there's this wizardry. And this wizardry is where somebody gets on the line and goes to 3 or 4 events or 2 events. They've been online with you and they're ready to go, but they're afraid of the community. They're afraid of the virus. They're afraid of the market. They're on the fence, and they freaking cannot jump. All right. And that's when your wizardry come in. And that's where you dig deep, and you don't care anymore about the $10,000, and you don't care anymore about yourself, and you care about helping this person not feel that way again. And you ask questions, and you dig deeper, and you pull out a Dane Clark, and you help them envision what it would be like if they didn't have this fear. And you combine this wizardry and you close them, and you join a team member, and you help them help you. Okay? So my whole point to this is, the question was, how do I start without a plan? There is such a thing as ignorance on fire. Please do. Be a doer, right? When you are starting, start. When we went from 1 store to 4 stores and played again, we took the crappiest stuff out of this one store, and we put it into the second store, and there was nothing in it. It was all what we call C&D inventory. I mean, what no one wanted to buy, right? No sizes. I barely even put any new equipment in there, and I just was a bare skeleton, and I was down there running the store. And I would buy. I was spending money on anything that anybody was selling me used, because we were new and used, right? Played against sports. And I'll tell you, my margins on used stuff is 5 to 10 times what I paid for it. I buy a Scotty Cameron putter sometimes for $15. People didn't even know what it was. And I would sell it used for $200, $250. So I would buy, and then as I got more money, I could go out and put more better equipment, right? A and B equipment into my store. But I just did it. I didn't wait to get new equipment. I didn't go out to the banks and plan to get a loan and fix my credit. Well, I had good credit then. I just did. I opened up the door. I let the public in, and I bought whatever they were bringing me. I was just doing. I was out, I had my guys out there with a sign, flipping a sign. This is 2001. Then we had an opportunity to buy another store and take over this guy. He was scamming his own self. He was not paying his bills, and Predebon Sports was like, they didn't want to lose the franchise because it was in a good city called Escondido, but they wanted this guy out. The sheriff was coming in to shut down the store. Just a lot of, he was doing shady stuff. So they asked us if we wanted the store. So we went in. We didn't have the money. We didn't have the capital. We didn't really have the manpower, but we just did it, right? So we did. Ignorance on fire. But then as we went through it, we started meeting and having plans on how we were which equipment was going to be, what the store hours, what store needed to carry that store until we got that store up and running. When we started figuring out that that was a hockey store and that was going to be the best hockey store out of all of our stores, and that, Oceanside was going to be our best water sports store. Chula Vista was going to be hockey, but also skateboarding. I had a much bigger skateboarding store. I mean, so my point is, when you don't have a plan, just do. And the plan, spend a little bit of time every day on the plan. This right now, you're planning, right? Understand where the Zoom meetings are and make a little plan. The minute you know that there's a meeting coming up on Thursday night and you know how to access it, you know that you need how to turn on your video and off, how you need to change your name, that's planning. Then go do. Get somebody to the meeting so you can take advantage of the plan you just made. Spend a little bit of time. Like if you've got an hour for the whole day, spend 10 minutes planning, spend 50 minutes doing, or 45 minutes doing, and 5 minutes on wizardry. Warrior helps you get the confidence to knock the door, and wizardry helps you sharpen your sword, to define your words and live in a higher power. Very true, Anthony, right? Wizardry is where you're almost outside of yourself. You are somebody you want to always be, and it's where you take risk, and you are only there for a very, very short period of time in your wizardry. You don't spend much time there, or you'll be in fantasy land all the time and nothing will get done. Your wizardry will be the sharpened sword where you slay the dragon. It's that last minute, right? And that will come with you. It will come when you spend more time on here. Planning can be paralyzing. Planning, and folks, it's okay, because I failed all the time being a doer all the time. If you got no plan and you're just out doing, you're never closing. You're constantly just doing. You didn't plan on when it had to sit down and ask them the right questions. You didn't plan for that, so you don't remember to even do it. Like when I do these trainings and I don't make a couple notes ready for the training, you're going to get a bunch of gibberish and it's going to irritate some of you because I'm going to be all over the damn place. But when I actually have a plan for my training, I can go off the plan. I can throw a little wizardry in there when I got a question, and I can look back to an experience and then come back to my plan and then go out and do. And the doing is me training on something, right? But I always look at my plan. If I got no plan, then I would just go off and I would never come back to where I wanted to start, where I started. And if I have no intelligence gathering, no information, how can I train on something I don't know anything about, right? So that's where your studying comes in. That's where your experiences is being in the meeting itself and paying attention when you're at the meeting so that you have a little bit of information. Those are your four people that you have to be. An information gatherer, a little bit of a planner. You spend the majority, my middle, that was funny, in your doing, and then you have that, and your little wizardry will come. It will come, you will become a better wizard over time. Megan, that's funny, right? I'm flipping everybody off as I'm in my doing stage. Just do it. So there, you can reference doing with the middle finger. Just get out, F you, and do it, right? Great questions. That's what happens without a plan. You're absolutely right. You guys are funny. At least some of you are paying attention. I love the comments. So awesome. So here's what I see. Oh shoot, it's 8:01. Oh my God. Let's wrap it up. I had no idea. You guys are so cool. I can't tell you how ecstatic I am that there were almost 100 people on this call, and you guys actually give a crap about listening to me, and it means the world to me. And I'm blessed and I'm grateful, and I love seeing my team on here, and all of you now are like my team, and I recognize names and I flip back and forth through everybody on here, and I'm excited and proud of that, and and I'm blessed, and I appreciate you guys. And so here's what we got to do. I hit 100. No kidding. Thank you, Keely. No kidding. I think that might have been the first time ever. Wow. So here's what I've got. This is my thought, is I'm not buying. I had a guy freak out on me, an investor friend of mine, 4 or 5 years ago, when in 2015, it went up like 30, 40%. So we're going up, and then we hit this spike, and he's like, it's going to crash, or, you got to get into gold. And I told him, I said, Jeff, I buy and sell houses for a living. Like it's what I do. I'm not going to stop buying because I'm afraid of the market. I'm just going to be smarter with how I buy, right? I'm going to get more knowledge. I'm going to understand. I'm not telling you not to buy right now. What I am saying is prepare. If you can prepare for whatever's coming. We all knew there was a market crash, correction, whatever you want to call it. Not a 70% discount, but a discount nonetheless. The election was coming up. There's uncertain times. The economy and the bull market is too strong. We've got to get to a bear market. Maybe Corona just set it up. Maybe we'll rebound. But in the meantime, you're welcome, Brandon. Thank you, Wanda. Ignorance on fire. Love it. Perfect. You guys prepare and offer this information. Build your team. Build your relationship capital right now with zero risk by inviting people. And I didn't get to this today, but the plan is ask people these questions. When you're talking to people every day this week and coming up, and when you come out of Nationals on fire, listen, do you ever want to feel the way you feel right now? Nobody wants to feel this fear. Nobody wants to rely on them. I'm not ignorant to the news. I watch the news. I'm not ignorant to what's possible. Nobody wants $100,000 deaths. Nobody wants those things. But I can't spend time there, only a little bit. I have to spend time on the things that I can control. And so I'm fortunate. I'm glad I've got real estate. If I had to sell a house, buy, right? You're right. Buy is going to prepare yourself to be able to buy. The way you prepare yourself to be able to buy is you invite. And then you ask those folks, listen, whatever resources you've got, wouldn't you love to be able to control it and know when to buy and what? And ask them. Everybody, whether if you're in your 20s or your 50s, it doesn't matter. But everybody knows something about 2008. And there's not a person that you're going to talk to that would not look back on 2008 and go, I wish I bought 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 houses. And the opportunity coming up is going to be there. Help them get prepared for that by getting this. If the world comes to a crash and the value go down, everybody here knows that they can't take away the real estate education and financial education that Bob is creating with Renatus. They will have access to it. They will be able to utilize it in any market, and they can always rebound from that. But if all they have is their one skill set and their one job and their one opportunity to go out and get a job in a field when there's no jobs, or try to get into a business when business has completely shifted, they're at the mercy of somebody else's choices who's only looking out for themselves, and they don't have the capability to look out for themselves. And if you ask somebody if that's what they choose, they will tell you no, and they can look at this a little deeper. Spend some time considering how people feel right now and how you don't have to feel that. You may be in there, you may be a part of that right now. That's okay with the job loss and the uncertainty, but you have something else that nobody else has. And with that, you can capitalize on that and help other people do so as well. Thank you, Berta. All right, we'll back spouse full force. You guys get set up for Nationals. Reach out to someone you know in your communities that's not in going to Nationals yet and remind them to go. You guys are amazing. I'll see you tomorrow with Dane. Wanda's not on Thursday that I know. Well, I don't even know that. Wanda, I don't know if you're on Thursday. You're welcome, Sheena. Yes, Patricia, everybody, awesome. I'm sure Dane will be on tomorrow. Don't forget, Michael Huggins is doing a presentation Thursday night. Get your schedule, like Keely said, for Nationals. Get on there. Everybody, Bob asked everybody to please get streaming tomorrow, Wednesday, a little early, practice your links and all that stuff so they're working. National starts at 90. I don't know what that means, but at 9. So yeah, I don't think she's having a call. Are you having a call, Wanda? Yeah, National starts. Okay, Wanda's not having a call on Thursday, so the call will be tomorrow. Does anybody have the link for Michael's presentation Thursday night? Keely has it. It's like elevateintro.com. Awesome. All right, everybody. I'm going to leave you with this 760-533. One more time, 760-533-3141. That is my personal cell phone number, 760-533-3141. Make it a great Tuesday, folks. Make it happen. Thank you for being here. I love you guys. Tyrone, you're welcome. Glenn, you're welcome. Anthony, yeah, it's on Team Elevate, the recording. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Sandra, good to see you. Great background. Love it. You guys are awesome. All right, I'm going to end the meeting for all. I hate to do that. Elevate. I can't read that one, Wanda. Welcome, Leslie. Thanks, Patricia. All right, folks, make it a great day. I'm going to go kick off some texts and invite some people. Love you guys.